Alright, so this is our problem, and now we need to solve this problem. So we're gonna iterate throughout each element in our board. So uh, we're gonna make two for loops. So it's gonna be rotating horizontal and vertically by each row and column. So for the rows, I'm gonna start by 0, and it will be smaller than 9 because we know it's 9 by 9 grid, and finally we increment it by 1. That's for the first. Now for the column, and we're also gonna start it by 0 and till 9, and we increment it plus 1. Right, now we know that we have iterated uh, throughout all the rows and column here, so we visit everyone. So what do we need to do? We need to make sure that row does not contains repetition. That's for first step. So how can we make sure we that each row doesn't have repetition? We will use hash set here. So let's call it set and call it row set. It's gonna be actually it's not. I will use the strings for our case here because string I'm using Java, and Java has string immutability, so I will be using Java strings here. So I will call it seen or visited values. Visited set, let's call it visited here now, and I will initialize it by hash set. And now, in order to make sure that we have no duplicate in this row, how can we solve this? Make sure we can say visited.add, and we want to add the number, so I'm just gonna make the number here. Sorry, it's character. So the expected character is gonna be both at row and column, and we need to make sure that number shouldn't be dot. Like if it's dot, we will just ignore this loop, and if we pause this, then we know that it's not a dot, so we're just gonna make sure row number, and I will say the row giving extra spaces, and finally I will append the number. So now we know that at that specific row we have visited this number. So if we have an existing number like this one that has a specific that we have in the same row, same number in the same row, then we have a repetition, then this one should be false. So can be named like row contains repetition, and if it doesn't, then actually it shouldn't be doesn't. If it added successfully, then it should be returning true, otherwise it should return false. So if row does not, we want it we want to make sure that if it contains repetition, return false. All right, that's for the first row, and I want to do the same for the column, but instead of row I'm just going to use column here. So I will just use column, and I will append the column here, and I will change the renaming, and that's for the rows and the column. Now we will need to solve the problem to 3 by 3 grids, and in order to do that we're gonna make the algorithm where we divide by 3. So in order to make subboxes does not contain repetition, it's gonna be visited set.add row and subbox row divided by 3 and column divided by 3. So now we're at a specific position here, and we need to add the number at the end. So if it doesn't contain this repetition, we're gonna return false. If everything passed, we're gonna return true, and that's it. Let's see how it's gonna look like. So the number here, yep, that's single quotation instead of double. Right, let's submit it and see the efficiency of the code. Right, so it's kind of not optimal since we're using the appending and in string, but this is one of the approaches to solve this problem, which I kind of making it more easier in order to read, to become readable. So that's how I solve this problem. Hope you learned something, and see you. We can actually play around with this one approach, so we can remove more kinds of appending here, and plus r plus row and plus number. You can also see and ignore this one, and force so just gonna call it s, and let's call it this one, and voila, that should be it. And let's submit and see how it's gonna work. So that's kind of better. That's probably using the string immutability, and this solution is kind of readable to me. So that's how can we solve this problem, and I hope see you next time.